Reachr, it's pretty much, like you said, a platform where it connects brands to social media influencers.
So I started exploring the idea of influencer marketing. And my background is in marketing, and I know how to build websites and platforms, so I kind of combined all of that together.
So a brand reaches out to you through the platform. What typically are they looking for from like an influencer?
Business is personal, so you're always gonna do business with the people you like the most.
How much does luck play a role, do you think?
I'm gonna try to say this very carefully because I don't want it to be misunderstood, but it is...
Thanks for coming on, man.
More welcome.
I appreciate it.
More welcome. You're most welcome.
So I was thinking about this a few days ago, and when was the first time we met? And how long has it been? And it's when we really went to university in Canada.
Exactly. Are you talking about the time that we met here, or we met way back in like 10 years ago plus?
40, yeah, so that would have been 2010, where it was a bunch of us just going to a place we've never visited before. It was super chaotic. I think we were part of the same like friend group, 30 plus people.
The Arab group.
The Arab group. We're like, I something's not familiar here, but the Arabs are, so let's stick together. But I don't know if you noticed, like after the first year, I felt like everybody was friends with everybody. And then after the first year, I think school got harder, people got disconnected.
It's mainly the engineers who had to go a different path than everyone else and lose their social life. And then, the Arabs kind of split up into mini groups. But like you said, it was the one constant that we had, and shawarma. For me, it was shawarma.
Everybody wanted to have some shawarma.
Seeing that everywhere, like on the roads and stuff, that's made it feel a little bit more like home.
Is that what you started with, engineering?
I did, first year.
Oh,
engineering.
I don't think I remember that.
I don't remember either. It's part of my memory that I blocked out. That was too much, man.
I remember I got accepted into engineering. And then 3 weeks before I traveled to Canada, I met a lot of people that are in Canada, or like got in touch with them. And pretty much it was unanimously agreed upon that everybody in engineering was miserable. So but without telling my parents, I switched to business. And then I traveled to Canada, and 3 weeks later, I forgot that I even made that decision. I was like, I'm in business now, thank God. And my brother calls me up and he's like, hey, so how's engineering? I'm like, right.
I am in that.
So news, I've got some news for you. But you are right. And the first year was challenging. You've got like 18-year-olds, 17, 18-year-olds that don't know exactly what's going on. A new country for us, like all coming from outside into Canada, a new system. And then somehow, I think me and you, it was only the first year that I have a memory of. And then I haven't really gotten in touch. We might have gotten in touch towards the last year, maybe. But then I visited back Dubai after I graduated, and you were here, and you're like, hey man, it looks like you're here. Let's hang out. I don't know if you remember this.
I do not.
And I'm mentioning this for a reason. You'll know why now. You picked me up in a Jaguar.
Way back. Okay, that was way back. Yeah.
So you picked me up in the Jaguar, and I'm like, hey, so what's going on? And we start talking. I'm like, yeah, you've always been a cool dude. But then you mentioned something. You're like, I'm like, so what are you thinking of doing? And you just calmly said, I've got a couple of ideas. I'm like, okay. Employment? He's like, no, I don't think I want to get employed. I'm like, okay. And I don't think you shared exactly what you wanted to do, but it felt like, it could have either gone either way, where people go like, I've got an idea, I don't really want to work. Or I've got an idea, watch me.
Okay.
And I didn't, that's the memory I had. And then 6 years later after that, we met up again. And you sort of shared with me, so the 6 years that felt like this to me, but probably was insane to you. And turns out you had, that idea, if I connect the dots with our conversations over the last 10 to 14 years, came to fruition. And there was a lot going on for you from that perspective. And I believe that was sort of, in my eyes, the birth of Reachr. Would that be accurate? Or at least, was it
Quite
mature
possibly.
at that time? Okay.
It was the seed. I don't even remember that moment, but I feel like it's something that's always been embedded in me. It's something that I always like intuitively known, and throughout all of university, even like to to the point that towards the end of university, third and fourth year, I started working on my own projects, like to find out what's possible, just to play around, mess around with what I know and what I don't know, and experiment different things. Because yeah, I always knew that I was gonna go on my own path. Don't I don't believe in employment and the system that we have. It's built for some people. Like some people are more suited to it, but I don't. It wasn't the path for me. So I just slowly but surely carved out my own path, which ended up with Reachr. There was a lot of diversions on the way. There was a lot of different exits that I took, and then I came back on track. Obviously, it was a whole journey, but it did end up with Reachr, and that is till today. That is what I am in. Yeah.
Did you start? You're saying you didn't necessarily start with Reachr. How did the idea come about? Where did you start first before it became what it is today?
Well, it started with the decision that I am either gonna build my own thing once and for all and make it happen, or I'm gonna sit and experiment for the rest of my life. So after doing many projects in many different industries, like the car industries, I built a few game apps, I built a few random websites that have different purposes, just to see which one clicks, really. And then one day came and I told myself I'm either gonna put my whole heart in, my whole self in whatever I'm doing, because I was doing these projects while I was working as well.
Right.
So I was doing them sometimes at work, most of the time at work, and a lot of the time at home as well. So I had to basically quit my job so I can dedicate myself fully to whatever it is that I'm planning to get into, so that it could actually work. And that is kind of what it took. It took me going in 110% with an open heart, with a lot of faith. I didn't know what industry I'm going to go into. I didn't know what the plan is. I didn't know, but I knew that I was going to, whatever it is, I'm going to give my all.
It sounds like it took a lot of tinkering and like testing out and maybe gaining some skills in order to fall into a specific niche that has some value to people.
Yes, 100%. Exactly. All those skills and the trial and errors that I learned along the way, Reachr was an accumulation of all of that.
Okay.
So the plan was that I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna go to Canada for a few months, 6-8 months, something like that, and I will find my way there. I'm gonna build something and hope for the best, and make a future for myself. Build a company that helps me make a living, and that is hopefully something I'm good at, or something that can add value, but mainly something that I can make a living with, because I just left my job.
Right.
So I told my parents that. I told them that I saved up a little bit of money that will help me live for those few months, and I'm gonna go to Canada and find my dreams, or whatever, find my way.
Okay.
They were surprisingly supportive of that, because I guess I had a plan, and I did sacrifice a lot to save that much so that I'm able to do it. So they saw that I'm serious about it a little bit. And the plan initially was something called Renty. Okay. And Renty is it's a platform. It's like Airbnb, but for everything. So imagine that you have cameras, like camera equipment or music equipment or whatever, something that is valuable, that is just sitting there most of the time, that's not being used. Why not instead let people who need that rent it on demand? So let's say I'm a musician, I have a gig, but one of the members, their guitar got broken, or they're missing whatever equipment they need. They can rent that on demand instead of buying new stuff all the time. So both parties win. The guy that needs, let's say, a lawnmower or something that he's going to use only
once or occasionally, maybe.
a couple times a year or something. They don't need to buy a new one. They win because they're renting it, and the guy who has a lot of stuff just sitting there not being used, they can win.
Sort of like Uber and people having a car and time, and they're like, let me make some money out of it.
Yeah.
Instead of it sitting down here and only taking me from places to others. So
it's an idle asset that is not being used. And that was Renty. And
were you able to establish it, or was that like
concept?
It was a concept.
No,
okay.
no. It went live. It was almost like the pre-live stage. But then I realized that there's a lot of legalities in this. There's a lot of liabilities because people and insurance-wise,
right,
that would have become an issue.
Yeah. I borrow a lawnmower. I return it back without wheels.
Exactly.
Well, how does that? Well, what happened?
I didn't want to ask that question.
Yeah.
It's like people stuff and they care about it.
True.
So it was all bootstrapped. I don't have a budget to get a huge insurance policy on something. So it wasn't a path that was gonna work. And that was halfway through the trip. So I had 6 to 8 months. It ended up being 7. But that was halfway through the trip that I realized this.
Oh.
Okay. After working on the website and planning all the marketing, everything that was going to go down. And it had hope, it had potential. Thank God it did not work because COVID came a few months after that, where everybody was sitting home. There was no contact with anything. So this concept was going to die the second it was going to be born.
Yeah.
So that was a blessing and a half. But it's still a cool project. If anyone wants to steal it, go for it.
Yeah.
I would love to see it happen. I don't think there might be a couple examples that exist like that,
Okay.
but I don't think many exist.
Okay.
Then Reachr came about. So I started exploring the idea of influencer marketing itself. I realized that influencers, it's going viral. They do have a lot of potential. They do. It's like trending upwards, where brands are starting to use them more and more and starting to put allocating a bigger budget for them, and creators in general are becoming more and more. That was 2019.
Okay.
So it's already been trending up a lot, and it didn't seem it seemed as strong as ever, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So and my background is in marketing, and I know how to build websites and platforms, so I kind of combined all of that together. And I didn't know anything about influencer marketing or how it works or anything like that, but I am a consumer of social media, and
True.
I see them promoting that stuff all the time. So I decided to go for it.
Do you remember the moment you decided to pivot into Reachr? Or was it, I'm ending my first project and it's not going to work and I have to think of something else? Was Reachr available so that it was an easier transition for you to focus on it? Or did you have to sit down again, think about what you want to do, and innovate one more time?
It was exactly this scenario. Okay. So one was ending, and I just put my hands in the air and just on the lookout for what could be the next thing. Surprisingly, it wasn't stressful. We're okay, I'm running out of time. It might have been back then, but
now
it just happened sort of naturally, and it came about naturally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit more about Reachr? And it's pretty much, like you said, a platform where it connects, correct me if I'm wrong, it connects brands to social media influencers.
Yes.
Who did you have to tackle first? Who did you have to reach out to first? Is it the chicken or the egg type of thing? Was it maybe you're looking for agents that dealt with brands, or is it looking for building a database of influencers at first, or how does it work in general for you?
Yeah. So exactly like you said, it is a platform. So imagine it as a marketplace, and like you said, there is a chicken and an egg, and any marketplace there is two sides. There's supply and demand, and that is the challenge with marketplaces. You have to kind of make them meet in the middle, and have the right balance of both. So you have to have enough influencers and enough brands to fill that supply. And yeah, it has to work in a balanced way together. I have very minimal experience in that. I'm not going to say I was able to like crack the code for it, but I kind of have a gist of how it's supposed to work. But the first people that I tackled were influencers. And I just like Googled how to get, a database of emails so I can reach out to them and hit them all up and like mass email everyone.
Okay.
Whatever method that was in front of me, I tackled it. And to my surprise, all the influencers were very keen on like, what is this platform? How can I get business from it? Okay, what kind of brands do you work with? All of that. So there was a lot of interest from the influencers.
They're essentially entrepreneurs. So if someone, calls, they have to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
They have to find the opportunity.
It is their business. They are trying to get business. They're trying to collaborate with brands. That was initially, the idea for it initially was for the US and Canada. So influencers here are a lot, I don't know, the ones we work with, ones we interact with are booked all the time. They are heavy in demand and their schedules are always booked. But in the US and Canada, maybe because the population like has sort of a factor to it, is a factor in the whole thing. I found a lot of people who don't have a lot of collaborations or are, like I said, keen to find new opportunities.
Okay, so you found success first in North America, pretty much. Would that be accurate to say?
I didn't find success there.
Oh, okay. I don't, door shut.
It didn't go anywhere.
What do you think happened there? Why?
I think it's because the market was already saturated with that. So with the influencers, it worked. Got a nice database for it, and then when it came to brands,
they weren't very.
Yeah, it didn't really click. There wasn't a lot of like quality brands that I was interested to work with, and there wasn't a lot of interest. So there wasn't a huge ROI on the ads that I was putting or my approaches that I was taking. Could have perhaps eventually with time worked, but I'm glad it didn't, because the switch that it made me take, the redirection, kind of the new route that it made me take, it worked out a lot better.
Okay.
Which is the UAE market.
I always wondered how do you, so a brand reaches out to you through the platform. What sort of things are they looking for? What typically are they looking for when they are trying to seek some sort of audience from like an influencer? And is it more so you're guiding them towards what they need, or do they already know what they're looking for?
You get all sorts of examples. So there would be the professional ones who have tried this before. They have experience with influencer marketing, who know exactly like, okay, we want to work with 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes they even give us like the names so we can manage them for them.
Okay.
And we get the extreme beginner ones who have no idea how it works, but they know about it, they've heard about it, they've seen it for themselves on social media, and they want to do it for their brands. So you get like the whole spectrum, and we fill in the gaps with whatever is missing. So we have the guidance and we have the execution. So whoever needs each part, we're able to like provide it to.
And the influencers, are they primarily exclusive to you, or is it on a job by job basis? What's the agreement there usually?
Yeah, it's a job by job basis. So depends what the brand is looking for, and we reach out to like the suitable influencers and we provide them to the brand. It's not the most common model. From what I've seen, the most common model is that the agency has exclusive talent under them, whether it's influencers or celebrities, singers, whatever talent would usually be signed up to that agency. But comes back to the chicken or the egg question, because I would need to have a lot of business for that person to for me to properly serve them and for them to stay interested in the agency and to get good deals.
Right.
And that's something that I'm not very keen on putting a lot of effort in, or I basically don't know how to do it, to be completely honest.
Okay.
I assume that the other agencies would have someone dedicated for that person, like a talent manager, their sole job is to seek work for that person.
Pretty much a business developer for them,
Exactly.
for
Yeah.
the talent.
To promote them, to get them in whatever gigs. That's not a route that is interesting for me.
Okay. And so I guess if I'm hearing you correctly, you don't engage brands either for business. They just come to you based off of the marketing that you do, or do you do some like engagements with brands to tell them what you've done before, what you're capable of doing? Brands are constantly, for example, looking to get more exposure. Do you sort of keep a network of brands that you are always in touch with to let them know that you've got solutions for them, or is it solely you existing, and do you spend just marketing dollars on this platform and then brands can find you? How much of this is you going out to either the brand or the influencer, and how much of it is just them coming to you?
At this point, and for most of the journey, it's always been them coming to us. So us just existing, it is. I'm assuming this is because the industry, like there's a lot of demand for it. There's a lot of interest in it. So we just happen to be the right people in the right place at the right time. Of course, we had to do a lot of marketing to spread our name and to prove ourselves with time that we're able to reliably provide a service that you need, which is how we kind of built a name for ourselves. And after that, it was all referrals and word of mouth and all of that. So it's organic marketing through a sole focus on just serving and providing the best service that we can.
Okay.
That's how we kind of managed to spread.
Yeah, and just from talking to people and experience, usually word of mouth is the slower but better option that pays you back in time. And obviously if people use your service, they're more likely to recommend it to somebody else that is in need of that service. And those customers and clients tend to be sticky compared to others that are just a
one-time job.
And so I think that's where you kind of start developing a legitimate business with an asset of clients and influencers that always want to deal with you, not because you provide them a good service, but they know you, they've dealt with you before. There's a level of trust as well, and it takes time to build. Like, I mean, you can tell me about that too. I'm sure you know this. It does take time to build a name in the market.
Yeah, I've heard somewhere that business is personal. So as much as we like to think, okay, who can I deal with to get the highest ROI, or who can provide the fast service, all that, like you said, is going to be a one-time thing, but you're always going to do business with the people you like the most.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, you're dealing with the person that's behind that screen and behind that Excel sheet. And this is at least a huge reason of why people do business with who they choose to do business with.
Right.
And as I'm pretty sure a huge kind of theme in this country is connections. So it's not about just numbers and whatever. It's about who you know, and it's about who recommended you, who trusts you, all of that. So it plays a huge role in it for sure.
I had somebody tell me about a few months ago. He's like, Munir, if in North America it takes a few coffees with people to gain their trust, here it's going to take at least 8 or 9 dinners. And what he meant was, people are looking for somebody they trust here, and it doesn't come easy. You got to earn people's trust, and it's through transactions. And transactions that are non-monetary. Usually it's through like interactions with people, and it's chemistry is usually involved, because with chemistry you kind of understand the other person's needs and are able to by default provide a solution to them. And so I think that plays a huge factor in the success of a business.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't think that necessarily yes, connections are great, and it's nice to be able to land a huge client that after trying to please them with a few dinners and whatnot. But what's more important is that that client and this relationship, this dynamic has to be the right fit for both parties.
Right.
So if I'm going out with a client and we don't necessarily get along, and their company is not a good match for my company, yes, we can try to sugarcoat it. We can like try to force a relationship, but at the end of the day, what is like a relationship that is right is better for me than an impressive like relationship, because
Right.
that's the long lasting one. That's the actually like the meaningful one where both parties are able to put their heart in, and they're able to create like some magic together, and it's something that has value in your life that you appreciate, not just like an objective kind of measure of success. It's something more meaningful than that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, you know, on that note, I think, to your point, it does take quite a bit of time to form that. And I've learned over time to, as soon as I get a gut feeling that, you know, this person I might be partnering with soon, you know, there's something that I don't like in the partnership, I've learned over time to trust my gut. And it came from previous attempts of partnering with people where I should have just walked out sooner. And obviously you lose money, you lose time and effort, and mostly reputation. I find like dealing with the right people is important. Making sure you deal, or you don't deal with the wrong people, I think from a, you know, reputation standpoint is also as important. Because
Can you tell me your experience with that? Like, what's the story behind it?
there's quite a few stories, but it's more so like values are not aligned. You know, I like to conduct business in a way where the other person gets more out of me than I do get out of them, because ultimately we both know it's a transaction. But I'm here to make sure that we both win. And, you know, at times I'd be having conversations with individuals that could potentially come in with me, or I could come in with them on some business. And I quickly realized that, you know, our target for the transaction and the value we're deriving from it and providing to the individual, it's not aligned. And I think when you're conducting business and you want to do this for the long term, from what I've heard from people more successful than me, what I've also experienced, is that you have to try to give more than what you receive. You really do. It could be in a form of, you know, an actual monetary value, or it could be, you know, in terms of service or attention that you provide that individual. And if you focus and fixate on the dollar or dirham amount, yeah, it might make you some money at the beginning, but it's only going to take you so long. And it goes back to, you know, the importance of word of mouth in business, because you do a good job and you deal with people the right way, and they appreciate the effort that you put in, they're very likely to come back to you for more business, because they like to deal with you, but also at the same time recommend you to somebody, because there's that level of trust that's been created.
Yeah.
And I think it requires a lot of patience that I had to build up. I realized I just need to be patient with this, and not take or catch the low-hanging fruit, like reach for something a little bit more meaningful. And, you know, with time, persistence, and obviously a lot of challenges, I think you start seeing the fruits of that labor. So I think it's hard once you're starting out and you don't have money, and you're like, well, I just need to make that dollar. It doesn't matter, you know, what that person thinks of me or how I started the relationship. And you know, granted, you have to start somehow, but I think for something more sustainable, it's very important to think long term. And by long term, it's really you know, making sure those values align in a certain way where there's success and there's something beyond the tangible aspect of doing business, the monetary aspect.
Exactly. It's we do get like the money is a bit of a distraction, because yes, it is a business. At the end of the day, it has to be profitable, otherwise it's just a hobby. But the money, money is not the goal in and of itself. Yes, it is gonna make the business run. It's gonna make you able to scale and whatever. But money is a reflection of the success that you had during that journey. It's the reflection of all those real relationships that you made. And to your point, yeah, it's when you're forming a real relationships, they're more likely to recommend you, and word of mouth will be in your favor, and they're more likely to kind of forgive your mistakes because you're just starting out. And sometimes even if you try to put up a front like we're the biggest company ever and we have a gazillion employees, people will eventually know that you are a startup and you're learning on this on the go.
Yeah.
And they're willing to accommodate that as well. So as long as you're like staying true and honest to yourself, and you're doing your best at the end of the day, that's all mandatory, that all has to be there. They're willing to look past the mistakes because they realize that you're a human, and I'm a human too, and we all make mistakes, and we're all here to support each other. We all have the same goals. We're trying to do some good marketing at the end of the day. There's no point in like pointing fingers and blaming each other and all of that.
Right.
Yeah, money is great and everything, but the journey that it takes to get there. And they say it's not what you accomplished, it's who you became to accomplish that.
Right.
So the journey is where the true value is. Money is a lagging indicator that just shows you how much like value happened during that journey. Then the money starts coming in. So for me, that was the trick with Reachr that I just recently realized. I'm like, what are the odds of a startup being founded by a person who does not know much about the industry they're going into,
Right.
and they're just winging it on the go? And the key that I realized was that my whole being was focused on accomplishing the goals of my clients, focusing on their needs, focusing how can I serve you better, tell me how I can be better, how can we improve this service. And I always said yes to whatever that came, even if it's something that's completely out of our scope. And I was willing to give it a shot and do it. But when it was something that I'm not able to do it, like a podcast like this, let's say, or they need a videographer or photographer or something, I was always there for them, and I always did my best to connect them with the right people to help them on their path. So I didn't mean for that to happen. It's just my intention was in the right place, coincidentally, by accident, and that was kind of the key to get some momentum going and to start gaining the trust of people in a natural way, because you're doing it out of a good place. So it's kind of the philosophy behind the business, kind of what's happening in the background that and the outside like reflects what is happening.
Yeah, so it sounds like you had you didn't put a set of services in a box and you just wanted to operate in that box.
No, it was only influencer marketing.
Yeah. But also you went out and said, what do you need? And I'll do it for you, type of thing. That's how it started. Like, let me know what your needs are. I'll get it done. Yeah. And obviously you put 110% into making sure those needs are met. And that's how you form a business. It's as simple as those words, I guess.
Exactly. Just say yes to the opportunities. Like you never know where it's going to lead you. Why would you limit yourself and limit the client and just say no, I'm not able to do this. No, sorry. Well, it's an opportunity, and it could be the best opportunity. You could you might not get something out of it now, but you could meet someone during that event or something that connects you, and it could lead you to a whole new path. Right. So yeah,
we spoke about dealing with people so they understand who you are, and so if you do fail, they are understanding of that. How important do you think failure is to reaching where you are right now, and to also reaching where you want to go?
Failure is everything. It is. I almost want to like rephrase the word to say that it's a stepping stone to success, to saying that it's a step. Imagine it's a step. It's not really failure. It's failure if you quit. Failure if you decide that this is the end of it. I've had too much and I'm not willing to keep going. That is when the whatever you're doing has failed and you didn't get your goal, basically.
Okay.
But the steps that are in success, they are all failures. It's all trial and error. It's all doing different things, trying different tactics, and doing these steps where you trip and learn, and then you get back up and you try it again. It's what success is made of. It's the recipe of success. Without it, you can't avoid it.
Yeah.
In whether it's in business or any other areas of your life, it's an unavoidable part of life. And it's how you choose to go about it that will decide a lot of things. It's your attitude towards failure, or what you think is failure.
Right.
Because it's perceived failure. We think it's a fail, but actually it is the lesson. It is all our lessons come from our biggest failures, even the little ones. So your approach to it will determine a lot of how difficult you choose to make your path be.
Yeah.
Because it could be simple if we take in all our failures with a grain of salt and not think too much about it, life would be perfect. But
Right.
But it gets to us, and we have to kind of overcome it and learn from it. Sometimes hard, sometimes easy, but it's what leads us to where we want to get to.
Sounds like it's what you're saying is attitude is important. The right attitude determines success.
Yes.
And how you rebound from a no or a mistake or a rejection determines how successful you'll be. And I don't know where I saw this. Somebody was maybe mentioned it somewhere, but they're saying go find the biggest no you can find from a person or an opportunity, and try to go for it. Because once you get you're defined by the challenges you go through. If you've been through challenges that are small or not that ambitious, then you'll probably that's the definition of the success that you'll find based off of that challenge. And so if you know that formula, why don't you just seek for the biggest challenge, go for the biggest failure, and the rewards there would probably be way more significant compared to the smallest of mistakes that you can make. And I think once, for me, that was a turning point about 10 to 12 years ago. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but something I felt like I learned something from failure. And I'm like, oh, let me double this failure and see what happens. And now it's sometimes dangerous. How the type of failure you're looking for, maybe this is crippling failure. I should not go for it. But it more so the lesson there was to I guess not be scared to fail, and
embrace failure, even
embrace it, and understand that understand that it is very important, to the point where you do it enough times, you never think about it as failure anymore. You go I learned something. And it really does, once you program your mind to think about it that way, you stop using that word failure when you embark on a new journey, because you just know it's well, obviously I don't know anything about this. What did I expect? I'm gonna fail at it at the beginning. And I think it becomes easier with time.
You build that resilience to it, and a very good example of that is when let's say dating coaches, when they teach you, let's say for a guy who doesn't necessarily know how to approach girls or doesn't have the experience to do that, and they tell them you gotta go out and get rejected rejected by each and every one, get rejected by the most beautiful ones, and after a few trials it just becomes like a game, and you don't think much of it, and it doesn't really stand in your way, because at the end of the day it's you who's standing in your way.
Right.
But if you rephrase it as these steps are just part of the journey, and like you said, what else did I expect? Am I expecting things to just work out smoothly, perfectly? yeah, it becomes a whole different ballgame that you're actually enjoying. And there is a thing in Silicon Valley, they say fail fast and fail often, or something along
Yeah,
those
yeah,
lines.
yeah.
Yeah,
That is true.
when you're developing an app or something, or developing a new product, the quicker you go through the failures, the faster you will get to the version that you want, or an even better version of the product that you initially wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I totally agree. I've always been fascinated about this question. How much does luck play a role, do you think?
I'd say a lot.
Okay.
It could be luck, it could be blessing, it could something that's more tangible than that. It could be timing, because yeah, timing is everything. Like if you're going into the market with a product, I've heard countless examples where, like, let's say Uber. I think there was, I don't want to assume things, but let's just use it as an example. There was a company that did that like a few years ago, with the same structure and the same kind of funding behind it, and it did not go anywhere. But Uber came at a time where people are starting to be more trusting of applications and their power, and I can just, okay, if this app tells me it's safe, then it must be safe, and I'm just gonna go ride in a car with a stranger out of nowhere in the middle of the night.
So consumer adoption played a huge factor in terms of the success of Uber, for example, like as an example, because at one point it wasn't something people would digest. Like, what do you want me to do?
Exactly.
Like somebody with a random car?
Not to specifically not to do that.
Yeah, stranger danger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the timing of it was everything. I think the similar case with Airbnb, because you're renting out your homes to random people. How is that supposed to work? It was a brand new idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, timing is a huge factor. I don't know if there are tools or methods to like kind of predict. It might give you an insight, but you can never really know when the right timing is. Which is why you want to keep doing it like as long as possible, because your moment will come, and instead of going like incremental growth, the point where it reaches exponential growth will come. You just don't know when it will come. An amazing example of that is social media. You could be putting out episodes and videos and photos and whatever, and you could see some sort of growth happening, but when will you actually go viral and rise above 1K followers? You never know. Someone could share you, one of your videos, it could probably most likely be the silliest video and the most simple one that you didn't think much of, and it's the one that could blow up. So yeah, it's timing is just this like added layer of how everything operates that we don't really control.
I might be butchering this, but I think the saying goes, success is when opportunity meets preparation. Something like that.
Luck.
Or luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
luck.
opportunity meets preparation.
And it's essentially like you have to be so consistent and not care about the input and not the outcome, or the process, I should say, and not the outcome for so long that other people are, get bored, and not like your competition doesn't do it as much, but you're just still doing it. You got that, passion behind it or purpose behind it, that the opportunity will come, and you have to be well polished and ready for it, right? And I think I found that to be the best definition of luck, if there were to be luck. Warren Buffett would say, or he's mentioned a few times, he's like, I've done all I've done, but if I've done it in a different country, I don't think I would have been that successful.
Wouldn't
but
have
I've done
meant
it from a capitalistic point of view, like he's done it in the best country in the world, at least up until I don't know your views on
best.
but like in terms of a business perspective, like they've got one of the most open markets for people to go in and try out ideas, sell products. So I think that's what he was alluding to. So there definitely could be an element of luck to it, but to your point, it's consistency. Uh, uh, Obviously with the right idea, but consistency in what you do will lead you towards the right idea that the market really needs, that they didn't know they needed.
Yeah.
And I think that plays a huge factor.
It is, like they always say, business is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And if you, like you said, you're focused on the process because you're passionate about it, you love it, you're not focused on what you're gonna gain of it. Again, you're not focused on money, because money is paper, it's not gonna mean much. But the process is where you get fulfillment. If that fulfills you, if that you're able to wake up in the morning and put your heart and soul into it, that is the fuel you need. That's what will give you the stamina to keep continuing until you get lucky. But a lot of people can get lucky if they are not prepared for it, or if they haven't done their homework. Then that opportunity, when it comes, it's not going to mean much.
Right.
It's going to be another missed opportunity. And even if you do prepare for it, an opportunity could come, but it's not meant for you. It can go to a different direction.
Okay.
So yeah, you take all the opportunities that you can, you run with it, and you see which one clicks. Yeah. And with enough consistency and energy behind it, you'll make it.
Yeah, it takes consistency, like you're saying, to be able to stay in the game even through the fire or the burning bridge, right? I was wondering what your team looks like, and if you operate a small team or if you delegate a lot. Where do you fall on that?
I love delegating. I'm the worst person at it. I am still.
So you understand the importance of it.
Yes, exactly. That's why I love it so much. I wish it could happen. But and I'm pretty sure anyone who's starting up something that they're passionate about, or even if it's not like their dream or whatever, it's still at the end of the day their baby, and they care about it more than anyone. So it is like for me at least, it's one of the hardest things to do, is to delegate. Because it requires a lot of trust. It requires the right people at the right time. There's a lot of factors at play. So I try to practice that as much as I can, because it really, when it works, it's magic. It's like, okay, now I'm free to use my capacity to bigger things, and that's how a company grows.
Right.
The CEO or the founder cannot keep doing the mundane tasks that he had to do in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, the company won't get anywhere. So my structure has always been a small group of people that I'm able to focus with and kind of share this journey with, in a way. So it's a small family, and their attitude has to be right. They have to be the right fit. I mean, they don't necessarily have to be the right fit, but we all just end up fitting with
somehow.
Each other. Yeah. We make sure that like that connection is there by connecting every day, and we might not be a best of friends, and we didn't come here to be friends. It is a bonus, and almost all the time we are. But after going through a few challenges with the team, and kind of going through that journey with them, and us growing wherever those challenges are, and laughing about it after, and just sharing that journey is it creates a bond that for me is very important to have, because that's what a team is. It's a sum of parts that is that's cohesive, that's one unit, that's able to work together kind of with the same mentality and the same goal, same ambition.
Okay.
That is huge for me. I don't want employees who clock in and out every day and just look at the clock, because that's literally why I built this company. To not do that. I don't believe in it. I believe if work is going to take 8-9 hours of your life, you're dedicating a third of your life, another third you're going to dedicate sleeping. And the other third, you're just maintaining yourself, you're eating, you're drinking, and maybe you're going to get a little bit of leisure in there somewhere. But a third of your life, it shouldn't be wasted on waiting for you to leave work, or waiting for to go home so you can start enjoying your day.
Yeah, pretty much, like, it shouldn't be wasted on something you don't want to do, or
Exactly.
you don't want to be in a place you don't want to be in.
Yeah. So I try my best to create that environment, same thing that I want for myself, to create an environment where they can live, and work is something that is done out of the heart, not because I'm scared of my boss and the rules say XYZ. So it's that's the environment that I try to create.
When you look at the set of tasks and goals you're trying to achieve on a daily basis in the long term, what are you trying to delegate because you don't want to take care of, like, it's something you don't like? And then what are other things you enjoy and spend more time on? And so when you're hiring people, what are you looking for so that they come in and take away something, not take away, but take care of something that you'd rather not spend time on?
I'm going to try to say this very carefully because I don't want it to be misunderstood, but it is a big part of it is dealing with people, right? So that is something that and any repetitive tasks or any tasks that don't require much skill. I would need to delegate those things, because that is not the best use of my time. Now, when it comes to dealing with people, I do enjoy it and I do love it, and I want to meet and connect with all these new people, influencers and brands and whatnot. But in a work environment, it is kind of unpredictable how much you can control that. So you can't really control the quantity of how many interactions you're going to have per day. So if I'm interacting with a few people, that's all the energy I have for. When it comes to like 5, 10, 20, 30 people, it becomes very draining on me, and I'm not able to connect with them in the way that I really want to.
Right. Yeah, you strike me as somebody who prefers quality over quantity. And if you have so many people in front of you and you'd rather allocate quality time to them, I could see how that could be stressful sometimes.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, I'll try to do that for as much as I can, but I need somebody full-time to take care of, their needs from a maybe called business development standpoint or coordination standpoint. And you kind of from up top look down and guide not only your employees but the conversation and maybe the clients as well. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, you got it. And that role would be more fitting to someone who is perhaps a bit more extroverted, who has a lot of energy for this, who at the end of the day they could talk to 50 people and not feel a thing about it.
Yeah.
So there's that, and the part that I love the most is solving challenges, facing challenges, going over them, see how it became like failures. Oh, we didn't get this campaign. Oh, this influencer doesn't want to do this campaign anymore.
Right.
Just had one today, and and their visit, we sent them the brief like a month earlier, and he just his visit is in 2 days, and he just told us today, hey, sorry, I can't participate.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm your guy. I love to step into that position and fill in that gap and find out why and work some magic in there and overcome those challenges that we face.
I gotta say, it's refreshing, at least for me too, because I'm not the most extroverted guy, but I do prefer quality conversations with people. But I still feel like I need some social activity in my life to keep going. But sometimes people say, well, you got to be so extroverted, you got to go out there, and that's how you kind of start your business and get in touch with people and do partnerships. And the more I dig into it, I think that's partially true, but I've also found an equal amount of people that are introverted.
Exactly. It could be that lifestyle could be suited for some people, but it's not everyone's built the same.
And it doesn't determine the success of your business or the success of your journey, right? And which was eye-opening for me, which was reassuring, because I don't know how people do it. Sometimes they can go for 3 hours talking to many different people, and they can still go for the rest of the night. I'm like, I think I'd like to sit down and drink some water.
Yeah. No, I feel you, same. And I guess a big lesson in that is you can listen to all the gurus, you can read all the books and all of that, but everyone is built differently and everyone has an individual journey and experience, and they're completely individual. So there's no specific recipe that's going to work for everyone. Those are all tips that can like kind of help guide you on your way, but your path is going to be unique to you.
Right.
And you got to go out there and find it, you know, and make it
happen. Pave your own path, right? Well, perfect, man. I'd love to sit down and talk a little bit more.
Beautiful.
We're out of time, but I appreciate you coming in, giving me an hour of your time.
Thank you.
On a Friday, where I know you probably want to just chill. It's an important day to end the week. Where can people find out more about your company, yourself? How can people find you and get in touch?
I mean, they can just Google Reachr, and hopefully we will be at the top. Up there somewhere.
Make sure the SEO is working.
I'm going to go home, double check that. Otherwise, LinkedIn and Instagram, you'll find Reachr. You won't find me on Instagram because that's private. But
but there's some presence for your business on Instagram that people can follow and see what's going on there and learn more about it. So
100%.
Right on. Well, thanks again, man.
Amazing, bro.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.